Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Hope you're doing well. Today we're going to get into some more frequently asked questions from the comment section. That means I'm going to review for 3 comments from 3 recent videos and see what you guys are talking about. I did take a peek and I see one from the People's Guild, which I want to review, and one from Fat Jimmy, which I want to give a shout out to, and 2 others, let's say. And so in fact, it'll probably be 4 comments at a minimum. So let's get it. My name is Dwayne Cunningham. I go by Infidel 1258. You can call me 12. And I cover Splinterlands every day because this thing's changed my life and I think it might change yours. The first thing I want to touch on is here we got the People's Guild dropping a comment 3 days ago. And it was in response to a video I covered called Fixing Soulbound Cards or Amazing Card Proposal. And in that video, it was something that the People's Guild had said with Aftersound in a conversation that really got me thinking about a potential for unlocking Soulbound sooner with maybe an extravagant cost on day 1 and a drop off on that price as they get older and more common and more, you own them through play. And day 1, it would make sense for it to be expensive. And on day 100, it should be a different price, a cheaper price. So I love that idea. And I talked about it in depth and I think sort of 3 approaches for why that would be financially logical and beneficial to the team and the game. I won't fully unpack that. If any of that sounds interesting and you didn't watch that video, please go back and watch Amazing Card Proposal. So People's Guild is in here and that'll be Jangles, I think. He goes, Yo 12, thanks for the shout out and for the shining some light on the idea. We loved the concept too. Some background, and I asked for this background, so that's why I wanted to feature this and start here. He said some background from the video in our conversation. He said, we approached Yaba via email and went back and forth for a better part of a month on the proposal, and ultimately Yaba shared that he wouldn't be entertaining the early unlocks yet. I think there is room for this sort of mechanic to enter into the future of the Soulbound cards. My hunch is that Yaba wants to see what shakes out with the Wild Pass and get a better picture for what the real volume capacity for exploitation could look like on a moving forward basis before making any further drastic changes to Soulbound unlocks, which makes sense from his perspective. I have so many thoughts on what I've already read, but I want to finish your thought and we'll come back. We'll take a rest on the conversation for now, but at some point in the future, we're open to continue to push for some middle ground, as in my opinion, the most important piece of the accessibility for all players. I think I understand that sentence, but let's carry forward. Things like a pity timer, more equal per player card distribution, and Soulbound rentals for Glint could also achieve a similar as an end result. I've never heard a pity timer before, that phrase, and you're using it in quotes, so I guess that's a common piece of gaming knowledge maybe. I guess you're referring to in that context, like some of the Soulbounds get unlocked just once you've opened so many chests maybe. Meaning if you open 10 chests, you might get lucky and get some crazy gold foil legendary, and yet you might just get commons. And if you open 1,000,000 chests, at some point when you don't get the really crazy cards, it should just give it to you, because it's RNG that's essentially saying yes or no. And at some point, maybe a pity timer is like, yeah, here you go. I don't know. I'm not sure if I've got that concept correct, but I imagine based on the context that is what you're alluding to. A more equal per player card distribution, again trying to make sure that players aren't playing the game for 3 years and never getting those key Soulbounds. That is part of why that's one of the reasons people complain about Soulbounds, right? You play for 2-3 years and you don't get the cards you want, and you've been playing every day. At some point you go, this is just crazy. Like, how do I get these things? Let me buy them. And other paths like Soulbound rentals for Glint could also achieve a similar access into the cards, which all of that, I see where you're driving at with the finish here. It's like maybe Matt has other ideas on what could correct the Soulbound card issue, because one of the card issues, not the only card issue, but one of the issues with Soulbound cards is that issue that we just alluded to, which I think is what you're talking about in the pity timer, where you don't have them and you can't get them and everyone else has it and you're annoyed. And that can kill, I don't think I'll go so far to say as that can kill your enjoyment of the game, but it can impair it. And that is a problem from a gameplay design perspective. Like, if you want people to love your game, you don't want to create any hurdles for their enjoyment. And if one of the hurdles is this thing you can do nothing about. It's one thing to build, people hate it when games are pay to win. You hear a lot of criticism levied at those sorts of games. But I would argue it's worse when you not only, you don't even have the option to pay to win and also play to win, like play to unlock extra assets is not even working. Some of us have been playing the game for, I think, a year. I think it's been a year and a half with these new Soulbounds, and you still don't got it. And so, you know, that I get it. That's one of the main frustrations. It's not the only frustration. And if that's the main frustration, some of these other answers might resolve that problem. But I would argue, and I think I did point to, another problem with Soulbound rewards is that it's not just about that you have it or don't have it, that someone else has it or doesn't have it. It's also about, you know, collectors desire collecting. They don't just want to, they don't, like, there is a certain person who he's in the comment section, and he dropped a comment recently, and he said he's a couple cards away from 99% like done on his collection. And there are people that are buying alphas and betas even today because they just want more cards. They want to fill out those holes. They love collecting. And so we have created this artificial barrier with Soulbound reward cards, which prevents them from enjoying that part of the game. And I don't know if that makes sense. I don't want to beat a dead horse. I guess I'm saying I have some questions around Soulbounds. I would love to see some tweaks on it, but let's finish this comment with a little bit of pointing towards Yaba's thoughtfulness on this. Because this whole paragraph is talking about how Yaba entertained your conversation, spoke to you, gave you back and forth, and then left you with a presumption that it's not going to happen yet, but that there might be some future consideration for that, or at least some tweaking of how Soulbounds work. But this part makes a lot of sense to me, and I want to give shout out to Yaba and the team in terms of their thoughtfulness and patience in more recent months, right? Going back years before Chaos Legion launched, obviously some of our efforts were a bit missed the mark, right? But this makes sense to me. Yaba pointing to the fact that the wild pass needs to be really explored. The permit pass. How is that affecting gameplay? How is that affecting accounts that are playing? How many accounts, are they all human now? If they're all human now, that might change how we can engage with Soulbounds. If it's still a huge bot farm problem or bot farm existence, if you take away the word problem, then maybe we still need to continue to iterate on what Soulbounds look like without making them unlockable immediately. And I'm not certain that bot farms necessitate some sort of Soulbound restrictions, but it seems like that is a piece of Matt's concern. He doesn't want to see Soulbounds being farmed by bots and brought to the market to crush the prices. But some of you thought, and I have thought, and we need to say and finish it here, if a card is worth a penny and you get it for free, it's still a penny in your pocket. But if a card has no sell value, no transferable price, and you have it, there is a certain audience of people who don't think of that as value at all. That's not me. I think of all of these assets as value, including the SPS that's less than a penny. I expect it to be worth more, and so I think of it as more expensive. And so the price that it has today is not the value that it holds today. Price is not the same thing as value, and I've said that so many times. I really strongly believe that. And so I go, I'm not certain that the wild pass permit is going to be that sort of, like, I don't know if we need to see where that goes, but I like that he's thinking about that. And there's a patience in letting that change happen and seeing what comes of it. I don't know that we would have approached this in a similar manner previously under the last bull run or with Aggie. I like Aggie. I don't have any problem against him. Some of you guys do. But I think this is a certain prudence and patience that maybe is just a bit different. And I'm happy with that. I trust that. I believe in Matt, and we'll see where this goes. Let's leave it at that. I did say I was going to give a shout out to Fat Jimmy. I saw in a different video. I gave a shout out to, how did I do this? I think I recorded this video, and in that video, I couldn't remember Neil McSpadden or the Monster Maverick show. I think I knew Vedev's name because I've spoken to him lots of times, but I'm pretty sure I was drawing a blank on McSpadden, and I was drawing a blank on the Monster Maverick show. And I have watched it. I do like it. And so I'm super glad that somebody dropped in the comments here. Fat Jimmy, appreciate you, brother. And want to give the proper kudos there. And he just said, Vedav or Vet V, I've heard people say, and Neil McSpadden do the Monster Maverick show. Used to be just Neil talking SPL economics back in the day. Then after his hiatus, Vedav joined as a co-host, and the conversations now cover a lot of territory. That's cool to know. I more often used to watch the SPL economics conversations, so I'm gonna have to go back, circle back, and see some of that stuff. And Brandon and I have had lots of good conversations around like the deep economics of Splinterlands, as well as cards, and so two very smart guys. Check it out, guys. Monster Maverick show. So those are the two that I knew I wanted to cover coming into this, but I haven't picked my last two. Let's grab one from the video on Soulkeep. I'm pleased to see the support there, guys. Great viewership, thumbs up, comments, and I appreciate that because, you know, I haven't touched Soulkeep yet. At least I hadn't until yesterday when I did the video. And for one, I think it looks fun, and I'm pleased to see a lot of you agree. Banana says, I think it's fun so far. Supreme Victory Studios, this game is fun. Scott Thompson, enjoy the game, Dwayne. It's a lot of fun. That's great to see. That's really great to see. Even iHorse in here. I love playing Soulkeep. Yeah, that's good to see. Loving the online property to explore. Loving the hair. We need to transplant to achieve that look. Appreciate you, brother. Let's grab one of these comments here. You know what? Let's read what iHorse is saying here. He says, I love playing Soulkeep, but what is going on with SPS? You can't swap it on Hive Wallet. You can't swap it on Hive Wallet. It gives you a long decimal and makes it worth nothing. Haven't been able to swap for 2 days. They need to fix that ASAP. Okay, I can't exactly answer this question, but I can tell you in my past experiences that Hive Wallet is a bit buggy. Okay, Hive Wallet. Yeah, Hive Wallet. I'm going to open my blog and I'm going to come into my wallet. This is buggy, man. I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't speak as though I really understand these things. Technically speaking, I don't. I only superficially understand how to use Hive. Of course, I have posted many times, and it's been years. Joined in 2017, while we were still Steam. Like I was rocking this stuff while it was Steam. But I have seen many times. Let's say this anecdotal evidence. I try to acquire as many Hive dollars as I can because there's a good APR on this stuff, 20% APR on Hive dollars that are staked, that are in savings. There's a 3-day withdrawal waiting period before you can unlock this, but 20% APR is pretty solid in my opinion. I'm sure you would agree. If that's trusted and trustable, you know, that's pretty interesting. And to me, I've been trusting it for a long while. And every time I sell part or sell shard or, you know, whatever I sell that's within the game, I often put it into Hive-backed dollars. And with respect to the Hive wallet, what I'll do is I'll get those tokens, I'll put them into HBD using Hive Engine. I use Hive Engine, and then I'll withdraw it to my Hive wallet. And sometimes I'll see 2-3 days. I don't know why. I think that has something to do with validator nodes and how they operate. They're not called validator nodes in Hive though, are they? They're called witnesses. Something to do with how the witnesses operate or don't operate. I wish I could be more clear for you, iHorse, but there's something with that. And it is a bit disheartening, concerning, frustrating. And if you had a trade that you were waiting on, you know, trades come and go and you're sitting here locked up. So annoying. So annoying. That's happened to me before with major exchanges too, though. Binance, that's happened to me with Coinbase. And so it's not exactly even the Hive Engine or Hive Wallet are the problem. It's like sometimes these things, you know, we're in a trustless system within blockchain, but then we go to these third-party systems, these websites and whatnot, and we are now engaging in a trusted exchange with a individual or entity, and we have to assume that their systems are going to work as promised and expected, and they don't always. So that's annoying, buddy. Yeah, they do need to fix that if that's still operating. Man, I hate that. And sometimes you don't even know if the money's arrived. Do you send it to the wrong address, etc.? Let's get one more comment from a different video. We'll go back a little ways. Okay, let's finish. I don't think I responded to Mambo Jumbo Eyes, and he's coming out of the gates hot. So let's speak to that. So Mambo Jumbo says Splinterlands is dead. And this is on a video I did recently where I was talking about card prices and my concerns versus confidence. And I talked about how my card prices have dropped dramatically, maybe half price in the last few months. And so Mambo says Splinterlands is dead. People are being exploited to the max until the server is shut down. In the Discord, people are simply secretly banned, and the SPS price now, display now is rounded up so that people don't see how bad it is. There is 1,000 such hints that Splinterlands has switched to maximum scam mode. There's some interesting comments in here. Let's start with this. People are being exploited until the servers get shut down. I think that comment doesn't begin to understand what the team gets out of us as we play the game, right? We don't have to play money. We don't have to pay money to play the game. We have to burn money to have a permit pass to run a bot in the wild, but that's not money that goes to the team as a revenue. If you thought it was, it isn't. We don't have to pay money to buy energy. If we do, we can. If we want to pay money, we can burn vouchers or DC burn to get energy. That doesn't go to the team. When we buy cards, we buy them from one another, mostly. Yes, you can buy Rebellion packs, but the cards themselves, I would argue that most people, if there's any sort of buying happening, it's probably primarily happening on a third-party market for some of the cheaper cards. I say that because they're so much cheaper than Rebellion. So really, a wise investor wouldn't go chasing after Rebellion at this moment, I don't think, because it's almost done with its airdrops and because it's so much more expensive than the other cards. So I actually really don't see any logical ground to say that the game is exploiting players. In fact, they really haven't made any money in a long time. That's one of the problems. The game would be doing better if they made more profit. So I think you're wrong on all accounts there. And then you go, in the Discord, people are simply being banned. You might be referring to how in the Mav chat, they just kind of shut it down. And that makes a lot of sense because some people didn't have any land, didn't have any cards, didn't have any SPS, and yet we're in there talking crap all day, every day. And I think, if you got a chip on your shoulder and you're still hanging around the community, and you're not even invested in the community, I think enough's enough at some point. You might disagree with me, but to me, that makes sense. Now, if you mean secret, like you mean people that actually have assets are being kicked out of the, I find that hard to believe. Maybe that's happening. I can't prove you wrong. I'm just saying I find it hard to believe. The SPS price display is now rounded down. Yeah, I heard about that. That is weird. I'll grant you that. Where would that be seen? I wish I could see that. I heard about that on Aftersound's channel. Oh yeah, right there, market price, 1 penny. And that is lame. It shouldn't be. I don't know why they would do that. That is, I don't know. They're trying to make it simple, but man, no, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that being the way it's depicted because it's not a penny. And so don't confuse people. Don't, mislead people. I agree with you on that aspect. Yeah, 0.7 of a penny. That's a big difference, man. It's a big difference. Volume's pumping up. See that black bar? Big volume coming in. Well, not big, but substantial compared to where it's at. People are buying. Let's put it that way. Okay, so let's finish your comment and see if there's anything else there. There are... no, I think that's it. There's one last point I want to make on this, and it's almost like a separate video, so maybe it will round into a different video. But I saw an interesting YouTube piece of content the other day, and it was talking about the idea of the sunk cost fallacy. And some people might argue, maybe Mambo would argue, that if a game is dead, just because you put money into it yesterday or you put lots of money into it over the last couple of years, doesn't mean you should keep investing in it. It doesn't mean you shouldn't sell now. Some people might be holding on without any sort of confidence and saying, well, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound, or saying, I'm already pot committed is another expression people use. And I want to point towards a thought that Mambo is almost circling and finish it on this. I go, look, there are times where you need to look at a project that you deeply believed in. Maybe it's Splinterlands, and say, I was super invested. I was super confident. I was super committed. And yet here I am, and I am shaken in that confidence. Maybe it's because of card prices declining dramatically. Maybe because of, the community within Mavs chat, whether people are getting banned, whether certain people are being silenced, whether certain channels are being closed, whatever. If there are certain pieces that dishearten you, concern you, if they make you doubt in those two foundational things, that this is fun and that it has a future, if you don't believe in those because something has changed, that to me is reason for moving, reason to close, reason to sell, close the doors, sell the shop, shut her down. But if those things are still present, then, this idea, some people think every dollar put into a declining project, declining meaning price point, not declining meaning development or joy or etc. The prices are going down, and I keep investing money, and at some point I better just stop because it keeps going down. No, the sunk cost fallacy makes perfect sense if you no longer believe that this is fun or that it has a future. It doesn't matter how much you've put into it before today if those things aren't true. But if those things are true, then this is not a sunk cost fallacy to continue committing and enjoying and seeking after SPS and maybe buying new cards. Even in this moment, just because they've gone down doesn't mean they can't go up. And so I'm not saying that they will and have to go up because they went down. Hear me very clearly. The prices of something like Splinterlands card assets or SPS are super volatile at a minimum, and uncertain is another word I would want to apply to that. But volatility and uncertainty are the places out of which radical growth is made possible. If something is super well known and developed and accepted and adopted, it doesn't multiply in crazy ways. That just is the way things go. Even when the Dow Jones has a crazy day, it's up 2%. And you or I go, whoa, who cares? 2%. Like, I personally am a gold and silver and crypto investor. Like, when things go up 25%, I'm kind of like, oh, interesting. Or if they go down 50%, I go, yeah, that sucks. But I'm not here for in a 4-year window, I'm paying attention for 6 weeks. That's what it looks like, guys. That's what it looks like. When you're in these sorts of volatile markets, again, if you believe that it's fun and it has a future, if those two pieces are real and true, that's a foundation that you stand on. And then you just continue to move forward and check that regularly. Make sure you're still in there. You still believe it's fun, still believe it has a future. If that ground is still firm under your feet, then it doesn't matter if it's today or tomorrow. If it doesn't matter if it goes down 50% in the card prices over the last 3 months or whatever the case may be, or even more tomorrow, because that foundation hasn't been shaken. And so when people sometimes express the concern that Mambo is, I think, pointing to, it's dead. Dead meaning it's come down. Dead meaning they've stopped developing, because clearly they haven't. And a lot of what you said is just out to lunch. And so with respect, they aren't exploiting us. They aren't squeezing us to get the last bits out of it. Like, where do you see that happening with Rebellion sets being sold? I mean, very few packs are moving, and those are people who want and believe, and those are the people that see a firm foundation, and they're making that choice, educated choice. And so each of us has to do that. And it's not about it's gone down and so I better liquidate. It's about, do you still believe in where we're at and where we could go? If so, that should and can transform your approach both in the now as well as in tomorrow. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that's helpful. Thanks, guys, so much for your time and attention. I hope you have an amazing day. God bless.